Hello, friends and loved ones, and welcome to another exciting episode of Classic MMA Revival. It's another special duo episode. It's me, the most dangerous man alive today, joined by our favorite Australian gentlemanly combative, Alistair.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's good to be back.
Today we are going to be watching together Rings Fighting Extension number 7, I believe. I haven't checked it, but we were going to do an MMA oddity for Frank Shamrock versus Shiyoshi Kosaka. Then we decided, well, let's just do the whole event. This, in fact, I think it has a really good shoot-style main event.
It does, and it's got a few shoot matches to start with, a Maeda event, which we can just talk shit about that guy, and then I think one of the best shoot-style matches ever. So should be a good watch.
Yeah, the main event you're thinking of, right?
Yeah.
That'll be a surprise, but it's Volkan versus Kiyoshi Tamura. So anyway,
two of the best to have ever done that.
Yeah, I think they were meant to shoot style wrestle each other because they've had, from what I was seeing, every match they had was a barn burner. So I think they were born to shoot style wrestle each other.
I think so. Or maybe Tamura's just that good, and maybe Volkan's just that good that when you put two just that good together, it just comes out really well.
Right. So anyway, just a friendly note here. I might be in and out of this one. I'm mainly going to be doing color commentary. I will lean on Alistair to do the bulk of the play-by-play because I'm going to be on child duty. So I might be in and out. I will be here as much as I can. And I think my cat just opened the door. I thought it might have been my son. But I'm just, I will just press play so we can get the show on the road and see what happens. You have like a page open for information on this fight, ready to go?
Yeah, I do. I've got the show page, so I'll be able to work from there.
So here we go. Rings Fighting Extension number 7 from, what's the date on this one? 1997?
26th of September.
26th of September, 1997. Fighting Extension number 7. I'll be right back.
All right, so we've got the WoW logo coming up here. WoW, of course, were the people that they broadcast Rings for the grand majority of its existence. We're going to have a nice little introduction to our fighters here. We've got some of the stars of Rings, including Lump of Shit, Yoshihisa Yamamoto, or Norihisa Yamamoto, as he was known in Pride, Masayuki Naruse, Dick Vrij, Tamura, Volkan, one of the best to have ever done it, and just a fair few. So this will be a good watch, and the introduction to Rings is always fun. And I can't exactly remember what we're starting with here. So we're going to have a little sort of a recap of what's been going on in Rings recently, I believe, as well as Oh, no, we're just going straight into it. So we've got Yuri Kochikine versus Malcolm Ney as our first match. Jube Casteel versus Pete Williams. Wataru Sataka taking on Valentine Overeem. Tsuyoshi Kosaka versus Frank Shamrock. Maeda versus Kopylov. So Stern Dad versus Lump of Shit. And two of the best to have ever done it. Kiyoshi Tamura taking on Magomed Gazmatankov of Volkan. I don't remember what event hall this was held in. Just gonna scroll up. Doesn't want to tell me on Sherdog, but I'm gonna think it's either the Rainbow Hall in Nagoya or one of the smaller event halls. Because at this time, Rings was not doing as well as the UWFI, and the UWFI was selling every place out, and so Rings was taking place in smaller arenas. Got our two WoW announcers. Probably introducing the whole event, maybe. Oh, maybe I think they're talking about the light heavyweight tournament that was held previously to this event, in which Masayuki Naruse came out on top, beating Chris Hazeman and Wataru Sataka. 山本選手はですね、前回もこれ言ったんですが、腰痛ちょっと思わしくないようですね。はい、こちらにですね、ノルタメディカルアドバイザーからの症状報告というのが届いてますけども、これかいつまんで言いますと、はい、And of course a bunch of Japanese that I do not understand, but that's all right. Here we have Yoshihisa Yamamoto looking sad for some reason. What do we have the event before this one? Now we had Rings Holland Utrecht War. Wikipedia does want to help me in what we had going on before this, but there we had the winners of the light heavyweight tournament. But this is during the period where they were trying to make Yoshihisa Yamamoto sort of a shoot champion, and he was getting the shit kicked out of him. Akira Maeda was slowing down. They were trying to introduce another belt, which sort of didn't go anywhere. And here we've got Frank Shamrock warming up in his Lion's Den outfit. The Lion's Den logo is the weirdest one. It's Ken Shamrock's head with like a really poorly drawn lion next to it, and it just looks awful. And there they are, getting hype for Kiyoshi Tamura. Look at that handsome dude. His Nike shirt. Shadow boxing to warm up rather than shadow slapping, which makes no sense whatsoever. All right, and here we have the official rankings for rings. Masayuki Naruse number 9 in the open weight division, Mitsuya Nagai number 8. So these are obviously work rankings because we got Blitzadze Tariel in them. Tsuyoshi Osaka, well-deserved number 6. Akira Maeda number 5. What a surprise, because he's not doing the best at his current part of his career. Hans Nyman number 3. Volkan number 2. So who's number 1? Oh, Yoshihisa Yamamoto. Oh, this must have been when Yamamoto beat Maeda once or twice, and they've made him number 1 ranked in rings, which is a poor decision. And we've got our first match. We have Malcolm Ney, who's sort of an Australian without a Wikipedia page, taking on Yuri Kochkine. So Malcolm looks super excited to be there. He's got a very square head.
All right, I'm back. I'm coming.
He's back. I've just been bullshitting for the past few minutes, and we're up to our first match.
It's Kochkin Inuri. This goes back to, harkens back to our last review of Pride 22, where Quadros called him Inuri or Ikuri Kochkin instead of Yuri Kochkin. Maybe that's how you say it in Japanese, Inuri.
Yeah, I was wondering where we'd seen this guy before, because I'm sure I've heard his name before, but obviously I wasn't paying very much attention to your last episode of Pride Resurrection, because I'm a huge dick. His opponent is Malcolm Ney. He's just some Australian dude from Queensland, probably trained under Chris Hazeman and brought in because he's large and has got the good, strong foreigner look.
Another wombat breeder?
Wombat fur trader.
Wombat fur trader, that's right. Awkward kicking there.
Yeah, not going to say he's particularly good at what he's doing, and he looks kind of tense. So I'm inclined to believe this is a shoot with Yuri Kochkin and Malcolm Ney. And he's having a go, though. Good on him. Doing his best.
Kind of a strange period for rings, because I think they were attempting to do more shoots, and around this time period, it's very hard to discern what's a shoot and what's a full-fledged work in rings.
Yeah, we're in that awkward transitional period where you've got some events that are full work. So recently we had the light heavyweight tournament in rings that was fully worked, I believe, or had a couple of shoots in the opening rounds and then worked afterwards. And then here we've got most of this card is actually shoots. I think we've got 6 matches, and 4 of it, from what I can tell, from the energy of the matches and the nervousness of the people, I think shoots. But, you know, somebody's going to come on the internet and say, Alistair, you're a dick. Everything in rings was worked.
I think all of the mega battle tournaments prior to the King of Kings were all works.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe that too.
Yuri here's got a bloody nose.
Yeah, he's getting slapped pretty hard by our tense Australian man, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Oh, and a little bit of a mouse on the eye of Malcolm Ney there, making him look kind of rat-like.
Kind of rat-like.
Yeah, if we look at his profile and he's breathing in deeply, I don't know, just gives me some rodent energy.
Does he have a birthmark on his left armpit?
What on his left armpit?
A birthmark. It was all reddish underneath his left armpit.
Possibly, or it could have been a friction burn from the chest hair of
Oh.
Yuri Kochkin. Yuri, nice judo here from our Kyokushin practitioner. So I think he'd been working pretty hard with the Red Devils.
That foot looks pretty gross. I wouldn't get that close to my face there, Malcolm Nay.
Nah, whatever. Just get right up in there. Maybe he's into feet. You don't know. Don't judge that man. We're in sort of an awkward leg lock fight here. Malcolm Nay doesn't really know what he's doing, and Yuri's like, one of my legs is trapped, so I can't really do much here. But he'll try and work his way out of it.
I'm wearing a karate gi. I need my legs. I'm a karate guy.
Exactly. I need to kick you really hard in the legs and then stand there punching you in the chest until eventually one of us kicks each other in the face.
I will be right back.
Anyway,
I
good shape.
I'll be right back again. Hold on.
Welcome to daycare with the most dangerous man alive today. And that eye is swelling up pretty badly. Good kicks from Malcolm Nay. He's doing his best. He's trying. God bless him. Good palm strikes from Yuri Kochkine. Bit of a forearm there. Little rabbit slap to the ear. Going for a trip here is Malcolm. Getting kneed in the body, and he is gassed. Possibly from being far too nervous to start with. Just getting beaten up at the moment. We're in an awkward clinch here. Takedown defense for Malcolm Nay is sorely lacking. He's been tripped super easily by Yuri Kochkine. Good knee directly to the arse muscle there. Really poor knee attempt from Yuri Kochkine. You know, for a guy who's supposedly a karateka, the better part of his offense has been judo throws. That's about it. Otherwise, the striking is kind of on par here. The commentators possibly agreeing with me, saying that there's been a lot of wrestling in this match, supposedly from a striker. Don't mind me, ladies and gentlemen, just having the sniffles for no reason. Garbage fucking Kene Basami attempt there from Malcolm Nay. Yuri's just like, you dick, and he's going to drag him away from the ropes here to try for something. Yuri maybe setting up a leg lock here. Malcolm trying for a sweep. Yuri flopping back on that straight ankle lock. Very lazy attempt here. It does not look like he's trying particularly hard. Oh, no, there we go. He's putting some tension on it. Maybe he'll get it. Malcolm, no idea what he's doing here with feet. He's just like, there are feet. I think I'm supposed to be locking them. And Yuri's gone belly down on that ankle lock and gotten the tap in not very long at all.
You got him a tap?
4 minutes and 33 seconds.
You got him a tap from that? Malcolm Nay.
Yeah.
What was his record?
I don't think Malcolm's particularly good.
Oh, this was his only professional fight? You don't say.
Perhaps.
This was his only...
I think he just had the look.
Yeah, this was his only recorded fight. That was his only recorded fight. So, okay. Whoa. Look at this dude. Holy shit.
Are you wooing at the gigantic swole man that is Jube Casteel?
Yeah. No, I'm worrying over Williams's neck here. He's got... He could pass. Neck. He could pass his Frank Shamrock's other adopted brother.
The failed clone of Frank Shamrock.
Right. So yeah, Jube Casteel here is built like a ship brick house. He looks like he is. He could pass for a Nazi super soldier.
Yeah, the Ubermensch is real, and it is Jube Casteel. Although he's from the Netherlands, so that's like the exact opposite of what he would be. Mind you, you could build like monuments out of his head. If you just cloned his head several times and just stacked them on top of each other, it's perfectly square. So you could build just anything out of it, really.
Is this Petey My Heart Williams?
This is indeed Petey My Heart Williams.
He is, how old is he here? He looks like he's 22.
He's very young. Pete Williams, all of his fights were in like his early 20s, I believe, until that Frank Mir loss was like 26 or 27.
Now, Jube Castillo, he was pretty legit. For
For a rings guy, yeah. As you can see, he's swinging pretty hard, but a lot of his legitness came from A, being super strong, and B, not understanding what shoot style was and just going, that's Hitman's. Hitman's hard.
His record wasn't too bad.
I don't have that on me, but there's always the question with a rings guy of how much is legit. Like any rings Holland matches, probably fine, but anything outside of Holland, you don't know.
So riddle me this: did Dan Severn ever fight in a rings Holland event? The answer is yes. Dan Severn fought in 2005. He fought in Rings Holland, Men of Honor, and he fought Jube Casteel, and he lost. Dan Severn was KO'd in 46 seconds by Jube Casteel.
Well, you know what? Good on you, Jube. But then again, that's 2000. How old was Dan Severn in 2005?
Like 55. Yeah, that is an MMA. That is an MMA oddity for sure.
Yeah, you'll look that one up. Well, it's only 44 seconds, so you can put that one on Twitter or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jube Casteel would fight our aforementioned Yuriko Kochkin at Rings Holland Heroes Live Forever, and Jube Casteel would win via decision.
Yeah, so Jube Casteel, legit dude. Gas tank questionable, because that's a lot of. He's a bit of a blood monster there. He needs lots of blood to run all of these muscles.
Right.
Good striking here from our two fellas. Petey Williams is the most awkward fucking looking dude when he fights. But I can't understand Pete Williams winning any of his fights. It's just sort of like the other guy gets sort of bored and just goes, for fuck's sake, Petey, can you stop? Just go away.
Yeah, so he was only 22 years old circa this event, Pete Williams.
I think so. Let's
yeah, no, he was born July 10th, 1975.
Oh, there you go. Good on Petey. But yeah, a bit of a baby face. Petey... You can see Petey Williams in his Hall of Fame induction speech, like the fight between him and Mark Coleman got inducted into like the fighters wing of the UFC Hall of Fame. He looks just an average middle-aged dude these days. Just looks like a dad. And you can kind of see that Petey was always fighting the dad bod throughout his career, because like it's at the Lions Den with all these athletic freak beasts, and then here he is with his like. He's not unfit, but you look at him and you just go, oh, that's a guy that goes to the gym every now and then. He's fine. Rather than, here he is hanging out with Frank Shamrock and Ken Shamrock, and he just looks like absolute shit compared.
Right. Like, and Jube Casteel fixes his fucking knee guard. Jube!
Look at that winging slap from Jube Casteel. He's trying to KO Pete Williams from the get-go here. Not a very smart thing to do from Pete Williams, trying for that double wrist lock, like when you're fucked up this way, because there's no way to finish it from there.
So was Pete Williams also fired in retaliation for Ken Shamrock leaving Pancrase?
So Pete only sort of rocked up for the Neo Blood tournament in 1996. He competed in that, and then he just sort of never came back.
Yeah.
And so at that time, the relationship between the Lions Den and Pancrase was starting to fall to bits. A couple of the guys had already left. So Scott Bezak had left after Eyes of the Beast 6. Who else was still hanging around there? But yeah, he never decided that was a place where his interests would be best served, I think.
Yeah.
Although he did find like a lot of Pancrase rules that like I don't know, what's it? It's not Rumble in the Rock. It's the other one that does just random.
Super Brawl.
Super Brawl. That's the one.
Yeah. So for having such a relatively short career from 96 until 2002, not really short, middle of the road career, he fought some monsters. He fought Coleman, Kosaka, Randleman, Schilt, Frank Amir, and I will throw in Rico Rodriguez in there, although his monster status is questionable.
Depends on the time when he fought him. If he fought like early Rico Rodriguez, yeah. So we just had Jube Casteel getting pulled up for chinning Pete Williams to the eye, and I think that's unfair because like 90% of Jube Casteel's head is chin.
I'm gonna step out real quick again. I'll be right back.
That's all right. Double leg attempt here from Petey Williams. This has been some awful fucking wrestling attempts. Like, Pete, I don't know. Far better at stand-up than he was at actually attempting to wrestle. But like I said, just his wins, they don't necessarily confuse me, but it's just sort of, he's just always there and just annoying and just in the wrong spot for his opponent. And like I said, it's just, they get to the point where they're just like, just go away, Petey. Please, leave me alone. You can definitely see that with the Mark Coleman fight, because he just outlasts Mark Coleman. And Mark's, at the end of that fight, Mark's is just sort of pawing at him, just like, ugh, please, just go away, Petey. Please. And then Petey just boots him right in the noggin. Front kick attempt from Pete Williams, getting dragged away from the ropes by Jube Casteel, and then another garbage shot. Jube working single wrist ride here, going around to a hammerlock. That's pretty cool, Jube Casteel. Pete Williams turns over to avoid his shoulder getting dislocated by the big old monster arms, and then Jube Casteel just stands up despite taking top position. He's just like, yeah, obviously my interests are best. Oh, fuck, that was filthy. Just stomps on Pete Williams' knee. Pete points at his chin and says, punch me, and then very lazily double legs Jube Casteel. I think Jube's running out of energy. I think Jube's gotten to the point where he's sick of being in the ring with Pete Williams. Pete snatched it up a heel hold heel, and that hurt Jube Casteel. Jube made a sad noise then. And he's taken a little while to stand up, and he's feeling his ankle, so I think that did some damage. All right, backstanding. Flail from Pete Williams. Nice big slap from Jube Casteel, but you can tell that Jube's running out of energy. All that blood is just stuck in his arms and it's not going to his lungs anymore. I'm, of course, being Joe Rogan here, questioning the gas tank of a muscular man. Yeah, obviously. But look at him, he looks bored. He's just like, fuck, why am I still here? What's going on? All right, here comes Petey Williams. Palm strikes, long body punch. Jube Casteel like, punch me in the body again, which means that body punch obviously hurt. Nice low kick from Petey Williams. Petey Williams waving on Jube Casteel. Jube winging slaps. Petey ducks into a double leg. Double leg is a generous way of calling it. The more he just sort of cuddles his legs and hopes for the best. Finishes it, turning the corner, comes over to top side control here. And he's setting up something on the arm of Jube Casteel. Working a forearm choke, grabbing the wrist, pinning it down, back to the forearm choke, slides over to mount. Jube just bench presses him off. Setting up that Americana. Jube grabs the ropes. And he's sitting up. And he is not standing up. And that's it. No more match. I believe Jube hurt his knee. Well, Pete hurt Jube's knee in that heel hook attempt. And so Jube Casteel, he's out of steam. He's sick of being in there with Petey, so he's just going to have a nap now. And well done, Pete Williams. I believe this is his only rings appearance. No idea why, because he did fairly well. Not very showy in the ring style, but, you know. I'm not Akira Maeda, so I don't choose what he does. Next up, we have Wataru Socata, one of the most legit sort of rings-raised shoot guys, taking on Valentine Overeem. This is a pretty big fight for Wataru Socata, because I believe at this time, had Overeem beaten Tamura? I think he had. Or maybe it was fairly soon after this, but Valentine Overeem definitely had sort of cemented his reputation as one of the better shooters in rings, because he definitely could hit like a fucking sack of bricks. He's very strong, decent submission offense, awful submission defense, but yeah, he's a pretty good dude. One of the best to come out of Rings Holland. Wataru Socata, young boy under Akira Maeda. I believe, is it Socata the one that Maeda just to beat the shit out of for no good reason? I'll ask the most dangerous man alive today when he gets back. Getting checked out. Valentine Overeem being large. Wataru Socata being smaller but also large. Here we go. Socata says, "Come on, Annabelle." Good check from Socata. Maybe he's not just wearing a tie shorts as an affectation. Good leg kick. Actually beat the check from Valentine Overeem there. Inside low kick catches the shin that time, so Overeem's got his timing down. Wait, that was a quick high kick. Double leg from Wataru Socata. Good sprawl from Valentine Overeem. This is part of why he was such a fucking danger. Looks like Dolph Lundgren on the edge of the ring there. And Valentine Overeem backs out. Back standing. Very Dutch Kyokushin style striking from Valentine Overeem. Nice front kick there. And Socata bounces off the ropes, goes for the double leg, gets sprawled on, and then like covers up his head. He's like, oof, that was poorly timed. But what I mean by Dutch style is he's very still until he just decides to go, and then when he goes, he's throwing something with a lot of power. So that is the striking method of Valentine Overeem. Good inside low attempt there. Socata backs away. Palms up high, swings in a low kick. Valentine Overeem gets his leg out of the way. Good double leg and traps the leg, preventing the sprawl, finishing the takedown and ending up on top. So this is perhaps where Socata has a chance to win. Brief, like, fist choke attempt there from Valentine Overeem from the bottom. Socata working his way, maybe trying to pass that half guard, but it's going to be difficult to pass half guard in the gi pants. And just as I say that, Overeem completely abandons half guard, and Socata just goes bloop, pops right out. Setting up an armbar here. Misses his attempt. Switches off to a leg, grabbing for a toe hold, and he's got that toe hold very tight, and his whole body was just swinging around the fulcrum of Valentine Overeem's ankle, which is why he tapped so damn quickly.
Jeez, was that Valentine Overeem losing to a leg lock again?
Yes, it was. Overeem's Achilles heel is, in fact, his heel. The question is, was Wataru Socata the one that Akira Maeda beat the shit out of for no reason?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. So obviously, the reason Socata went out and tried so hard at this match is just the fear of his boss.
Beating the living shit out of him.
I gotta win. I've gotta win, otherwise I'm just gonna get beat the shit out of by the man who writes my paychecks, and I can't do shit about it.
All right, my son is balling again.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Yeah, so as we can hear in the background there, most dangerous man alive today on babysitting duty. And it looks like Socata's fucked up the ankle of Valentine Overeem a little bit, which I understand because that was a nasty, nasty toe hold. Got the toes all the way bent over and pointing into the butt. Which is exactly what you want to finish that hold. A lot of flexing from Wataru Socata. Maybe he's been hitting the gym recently and putting on some muscle. Proud of his physique. And Valentine limping out to the back, being escorted by Dolph Lundgren and some random Japanese dude with a bowl cut. I will never understand Japanese fashion decisions. Possibly because I don't understand fashion decisions in my own life. Here we are, post-fight interview with a very sweaty Wataru Socata, wearing a towel on his head like a Russian babushka. He's got a skull and crossbones on his crotch, which is an interesting motif on his tie shorts there.
僕がそういう動きになったということはやっぱりすごい刺激になってるし参考にもしてるしやっぱりタモさん結果残してるでしょなんだかんだなんだかんだ言うやつもいるかもしれないですけど強いんですよ
I have absolutely no idea what he's saying. I am out of practice with my listening to Japanese guys be interviewed and trying to pick things up from context.
どんどんやりたいしみんなが練習しないんだったら僕はタモさん
Probably saying, the fear of Maeda entered me, and I had no choice but to toe-hold that man as hard as I could, for I knew that if I lost, Akira Maeda would beat me, like a runaway slave.
ジャパンの人たちでこう勝ったり負けたりみたいなつばぜり合いみたいな試合していきたいですけどみんなはあれですよあんまり変な石ばっかり張ってると僕も知らない間に抜いちゃうかもしれません。
Alright, there we are. So we're going to get a replay of this rather nice toe hold. Like, he ducks right under that leg straight away and goes, right, it is toe hold time. And you can see, like, his whole body rotates around the fulcrum, and then when Valentine Overeem gets flat on his back, he can't turn over anymore, so his knee gets stuck. And that's why the leg lock hurt so damn hard. Who have we got here? So we're being introduced to a very brief, I believe it's going to be submission tutorial from some of our stars of rings. Yes, this is the final in their series of submission instructions. Many of these have been done by Tsuyoshi Kosaka, and I believe that today's is being done by Masayuki Naruse. Gado position, Sankaku Jime. So he's going to be teaching you how to do a triangle choke from guard. Very lazily. So, yeah, he's talking about how the muscles in his thighs cut off the arteries of the young boy who he just nearly made pass out. But yeah, that entry to a triangle was very lazy. And also, we are seeing one of the classic foibles of a triangle choke. It's a triangle. It's not a try right in front of the guy. So as you can see here, when going for a triangle choke, try and get out on an angle so that you can actually make that hole between your legs a lot tighter. Otherwise, there's a lot of room for blood to flow around, especially if you got big old long legs like me. If you got short legs, triangles are hard to catch, but once you've got them, you cause some problems. What are we doing here? I think we're doing heel hold or cross heel hold. So he's gonna walk through his Achilles lock, heel hold. So what he's gonna do, introduce the other leg. Yeah, we're gonna learn how to do a cross heel hold. Almost exclusively a worked hold. But I have seen exactly one shoot cross heel hold work. This was in Pancras. It was Satoru Kitaoka taking on some dude from Brazil. The way Satoru Kitaoka did it was the other guy's legs were crossed like this, and rather than trying to ankle lock it the way Masayuki Naruse is here, he actually inverted heel hooked the trap leg. So the cross heel hold became an actual like heel hold. Well, heel hook rather than a heel hold, and worked rather well. Here we have Hiyoshi Tamura doing the cross heel hold in work, and here we have Volkan, master of the cross heel hold, doing it also against Akira Maeda in a work. Trying to remember if Maeda ever tapped one of those. I don't think he did. Here we have Ashido Rogami, so toe hold. Being taught in the Kurt Angle way, so the Kurt Angle ankle lock. You also need to make funny faces and scream while doing that for the full Kurt Angle and/or Ken Shamrock experience. What do we got here? Ooh, modified, just various modified holds. That one was a knee bar. That one's like a Oh, that was a great match between Kiyoshi Tamura and Tsuyoshi Kosaka. Great work match. Good work finish. Made that ankle lock injury look super legit the way they did that. But yeah, so he's just showing a lot of different ways to enter this. And here we have one of the more famous moves of Rings, I believe, being introduced. It is the Calf Crush. Volkan, I believe it was... No, it wasn't Akira Maeda's first loss, but it was one of Akira Maeda's first losses in Rings was to the Calf Crush from Volkan. Doing this Calf Crush with your arms rather than your legs is a surefire way to snap your own arm before making the other guy tap or get punched in the face a lot. So not a super legit move. I have tapped to it a few times in training because one of the guys I train with is rather good with it, but yeah, not something I would rely on very much for our viewers.
All right, I'm back. So what are we watching here? Some Rings special submission demonstration.
Yeah, a lot of worky stuff.
Yeah, like the calf crusher here.
Yeah, so the calf crusher with the arms. If you're gonna do that, there's a lot of stuff you need to do. But yeah, here we are, the most famous application that time Volkan beat Akira Maeda with it when Akira Maeda's knee had exploded. And so they were trying to, put Volkan over while Akira Maeda had knee surgery.
Yeah, so Volkan kind of assumed the role of star of the promotion. I would say he was on par with Akira Maeda in terms of popularity and stature in the company.
Same thing with Dick Fry, briefly, because both those guys had beat Maeda and sort of took over as the number one guy while Maeda was out injured and or just, not being great. Oh, we got a Grovet face lock. I love the Grovet. The Grovet's fucking awesome and brutal. If you want to see how to do this properly, there is a Billy Robinson instructional somewhere on YouTube. But yeah, both Volkan and Dick Fry sort of filled in for Akira Maeda while he was out hurt.
Good stuff here. Good stuff. Who is that guy showing these off? Who is that?
This is Masayuki Naruse.
Yes.
So he's shown a Grovet face lock, and then they go to the video package, and it's just guillotines. So the complete not what we were being shown there at all. Here we have Tsuyoshi Kosaka. Oh, actually, no, I think they're just recapping all the things. So this was actually a little series, which most of it was done by Tsuyoshi, and then Masayuki Naruse filled in for the last couple. And the ones with Tsuyoshi Kosaka, much better than the ones with Masayuki Naruse. I'm not going to suggest as to why.
So unfortunately, I don't think I have the entire Rings catalog of the 90s. I have a couple missing episodes or events, which is sad.
Yeah, I think that we've got as complete a collection as there is to be had.
Right.
Any other ones, the Russians may provide, but I'm not sure. I think the Russians actually have less than we do.
Yeah, the Russian master list does not have a whole lot of Ring stuff. It has a couple years of the Ring stuff, but all this, I downloaded what I could from the Real Hero archive, and I don't think their archive was complete though. I think it was missing a couple.
Yeah, there are a few. All the Rings Australia events, quite a few of the Rings Holland events, and just a few sort of the lesser known Rings events. Like there was a
Rings Lithuania.
There was like this international tournament thing where they did where it was like a 5 versus 5 match from various countries, like Quintet. Have you seen Quintet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was like that, except it was worked, and it was between, like, there was an Australian team, there was a Japan team, there was a Russia team, there was a Holland team, and so Australia got knocked out in the first round, and I can't remember who else did.
So luckily the Russian master list does have the entire collection of the Rings Holland free fight events, which I think is the complete series of the Rings Holland, all the events up until like the 2005, 2006 event. So in fact, I got to go look for that Rings Holland event that has Dan Severn versus Jube Casteel. I have got to look for that. Or no,
Jube is like as shredded in his later life as he was in his Rings career.
We'll have to see. I think Dan Severn probably looks mostly the same.
Dan Severn looks the same now as he did in his UFC debut.
So here we go. We have the famed Yoshiaki Kosaka versus Frank Shamrock. This is Frank's second fight after he was unceremoniously fired from Pancrase for being the stepbrother. Yeah, related, loosely related to Ken Shamrock. Maybe they thought, oh, he really is his brother. Maybe they didn't understand he was his stepbrother and there was not much blood connection there. Joke's on them.
So he was introduced in the Pancras King of Pancras tournament as Frank Juarez or Wallace. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't think they knew how to say Juarez, so they introduced him as Frank Wallace. So I think they knew that there had been a name change there, but yeah, I don't know. I think that at this time, Frank and Ken were still pretty tight. Their falling out would come later.
So their falling out had nothing to do with the fact that Frank took the brunt of Ken's transgression?
No, because everybody all at Lion's Den sort of got booted at the same time, with the exception of Jason DeLucia. But at that time, DeLucia was off kind of doing his own thing. But here we go. The whole reason we're actually watching this event, this match between Frank and Tsuyoshi, you can see there's a bit of a size disparity here. Frank in killer shape as usual, on that Lion's Den diet of chicken and broccoli, and Tsuyoshi Kosaka as, you know, a big old solid judo boy.
Yeah, so this is Frank would have 2 fights in rings. This is the first of 2 for him.
Yeah, he came to rings, went to the UFC, and then had the whole thing where he like vacated as champion. Which they changed the way they do contracts after that, because Frank just left holding the belt, and they were just like, oh, what do we do now?
Yeah, so this is his first rings appearance. He would later appear at Rings Rise 2nd in April of '99 to take on Kiyoshi Tamura. And I guess this, you know, when I wanted to take a look at this for an MMA oddity, just because it was Frank Shamrock in rings after his falling out with Pancrase. And was it a work or was it a shoot? You know, knowing that rings was kind of the tweener. Rings was playing the tweener role with their shoots and their works.
Yeah, between UWFI and Pancrase, the 2 other bigger, well, we'll call them wrestling organizations, although Pancrase is arguably an MMA organization.
Yeah. And I think our consensus was that Frank wouldn't agree to do a work after being in legitimate fights.
Yeah, I think that was sort of part of the deal with Pancrase. There's a reason it's not Frank Shamrock versus Akira Maeda.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, there's a reason it's Frank Shamrock versus Tsuyoshi Kosaka and then Frank Shamrock versus Kiyoshi Tamura. It's because those are the 2 most legit rings guys.
Yeah. Now, this is inadvertently going to be like maybe a rings month for me, because I'm going to do a MMA oddity for Volkan versus Yoshiaki Fujiwara.
I haven't seen that.
That is in 2002. One of the last 2001. It's in 2001. One of the last rings events of like the main Fighting Network Rings organization before they would kind of go to like one-off shows, and then later in the mid 2000s they would start up the Rings Outsider events. Yeah, so I thought it might have been Volkan's last appearance in Rings, but he does appear at their final show, which is Rings Final Battle in 2002, February of 2002.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. How does Fujiwara look in that one? Because
he looks the same. He's
always looked fucking old.
Yeah, he still looks old.
Pretty sure, like, Fujiwara came out of the womb looking like Benjamin Button.
Yes.
So it's a little baby with like a massively scarred forehead just pops out and just headbutts the doctor.
Yes. So what's interesting about Volkan, that final Rings event, Rings Final Battle, Volkan takes on Stern Dad, Andrei Kopylov. Yeah. Which I guess is a fitting end.
Yeah, to Rings.
Yeah.
That's a really good event too. You know, it's only like what? My math's 5 years down the Rings catalog, so you know we might get to that between now and when the universe ends.
Sure.
But yeah, we're seeing the solid top judo control of our man Tsuyoshi Kosaka, and we're also seeing one of the Achilles heels of Frank's career in mixed martial arts. Frank, as good a wrestler as he was, like he could take down motherfuckers really well. Like there's that time he spear tackled what's that Russian dude's name? I'm completely forgetting.
A Russian dude in Pancrase, or
no, the Russian dude.
Machusenko?
The Battlecade Elite, the Battlecade Extreme
Oh, I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
He also that guy was also the bodyguard of Jeffrey Epstein, and they like interviewed him recently. He's like, I really don't want to say anything.
Let's see, Igor Zinoviev.
Yeah, Igor Zinoviev. There's that time that Frank Shamrock like spear tackled him through the ground and broke his collarbone, and then Igor Zinoviev never fought again. So Frank Shamrock could take down dudes like a motherfucker, but he has zero takedown defense. It's awful. Like that time he fought Renzo Gracie at I don't know if you know that some rat shit promotion or the other. It's just Renzo Gracie just takes him down 1,000 times in 15 minutes, and then Frank loses the decision. And Renzo, while one of the better fighting Gracies, never had the super great, like the best takedowns.
Yeah, so he fought later in 1997 here. In fact, he would after this. Frank Shamrock would appear at the World Pancration Championships 1 to take on a Gasaway brother, Wes Gasaway. Then he would fight Ensign Inoue for Vale Tudo Japan 97. And then he would fight
We're
for
definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later.
Won the UFC, the first UFC light heavyweight belt when he beat Kevin Jackson, a man of little known fame.
Kevin Jackson is pretty legit. So Olympic silver medalist, won a bit at Battlecade Extreme Fighting. Now that we're thinking of that promotion, and so he was arguably the second best middleweight at the time. And then he falls into the danger with Frank Shamrock is, although Frank can't stop a takedown, what he can do is when you take him down, snatch up a submission like unreasonably fast. This is a good fight here, and this is why we think it is a shoot, because you can see in these clinch exchanges, these two are not holding back. They are really having a go at each other.
You said silver medalist. Kevin Jackson was a gold medalist in the 92 Barcelona games.
Kevin Jackson, I apologize.
If he's listening. Right. They do have a common opponent they would both beat. Kevin Jackson beat John Lober in his debut fight for Extreme Fighting 4. And Ken Shamrock would beat John Lober in a UFC title fight in UFC Brazil in October of 98. That's an interesting one.
Apparently, John Lober was like calling Frank Shamrock's room and calling him a faggot like the whole night before their fight. Just being absolutely awful because he knew. So they had a fight before. There was Frank's first fight out of Pancras, and that was Frank's. He lost that.
Oh yeah. At Super Brawl 3, they did. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Loba sort of understood that Frank had a lot of experience in mixed martial arts rules rather than Pancras rules since that time. So he was trying to get inside his head. And then after he loses fairly quickly to John Loba, like I think Frank beats the shit out of him. Like he apologizes, just says, "I just had to do that. Like there was no other way I was going to win that."
Yeah, submission to punches. Yeah. You said that he was calling up Frank Shamrock, calling up his room, calling him, a faggot. That sort of reminds me of Ron Waterman.
Ben Spikers?
No. Ron Waterman did that promo where he's like, if you want to come see me, fuck Mark Kerr. Was that one? Was
that's
that
not, Waterman? That's is that the anarchist dude? Really good grappler. Fuck.
Did that fight actually go down? I thought that was Ron Waterman. Maybe I was wrong. I'm wrong now.
Hold on.
Jeff Monson. Jeff Monson. Never mind. Yeah, Jeff Monson.
I was just going to Google worst MMA promo ever.
Yes. So yeah, they did fight. They fought at Vengeance FC. Mark
I
Kerr
bet it
versus
was
Jeff
awful
Monson.
because Jeff Monson, while a very good grappler, not a super great mixed martial artist.
Right. So I was very happy to see that. I didn't believe it at first. I'm very skeptical. I'm a skeptic on the internet whenever I see stuff. Mark Kerr has a GoFundMe to help pay for some of his the ailments he has in his feet. And Mark Kerr has a Twitter. So I signed up. I'm all in. I love Mark Kerr. Hopefully he sees the message I posted for him. But we'll see.
Hopefully, Mark Kerr, good dude. So him, Mark Coleman, Kevin Randleman, like all of those Hammerhouse guys, just plagued by injuries after their careers. It's crazy. But mind you, the same thing happens to a lot of sort of American wrestlers. Like if we're talking about, I was mentioning Kurt Angle earlier while you were off babysitting, because we had some ankle locks going on in the Masayuki Naruse instructional. Kurt Angle, like he's got really bad, not dysplasia, nerve impingement in his neck on his brachial plexus. So he's got like this massive neck, and then he's got these tiny little arms these days.
Right. Well, yeah, his knees look like they're fucked too. Because when he was in his last stint with the WWE, when he was walking, it looked like he had his knees bent. Like even when he was
hobbling the whole time.
Yeah. Even when he was standing up straight. Even standing up straight, his knees were bent. You know.
Maybe he's just got that John Wayne stance where he just needs to stand with his legs that far apart for the size of his testicles. No, Kurt Angle is no doubt just like broken.
Yes.
Here we are still seeing, we're bullshitting here, but this is quite a good fight. So hopefully people are being like visually entertained while we talk about wrestlers being broken. But yes, please, friends and loved ones, support Mark Kerr. Do you still have those Gary Goodridge shirts?
No. I don't. I think I have one.
I can actually afford them now. I'm employed.
Well, you know what? So, actually, what I want to try to do is maybe see if I could do, like maybe get Mark Kerr for like an interview. You know, I mean, I assume that there would be some fee involved with this. Like spoiler for our interview for Gary Goodridge, and I don't have a problem saying this now. Gary Goodridge charged us $150. For 15 minutes, which is okay. You know, I understand.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, so me and Good Vibes split it, which I don't have a problem with. You know, it helps goes to support him, and he got to talk about MMA for a little bit. But anyway, I'd like to do that for Mark Kerr, but I think I would spend more time because Mark Kerr, after MMA, he became a car salesman. And I could talk.
I believe he was doing all right there.
Yeah, I could talk to him about car sales because I too am in the car sale business. Like that's what my kind of career is. I'm not a direct car salesman anymore, but I started, so I could talk to him for an hour about car sales, and I think that's what the interview will be about.
Are you fucking sure? Sister channel to Pride Resurrection is ex-MMA fighting car salesman.
I would be subverting expectations. You expect a Mark Kerr interview to be about MMA? No, I'm gonna make it about car sales because that's something that I could connect with him on. You know.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of Gasaway brothers and interviews, Brian, we got into contact a little while ago with Brian Gasaway, and we've just kind of not talked to each other for ages. So Brian, if you're watching this, which I sincerely doubt, send me another email, dude. I would like to talk to you. And also Larry Papadopoulos. Same thing happened there. We're like, oh yeah, let's do this, and then nothing happened.
So do you think you could get an interview with Nathan Jones?
Nathan Jones. No, because he's legit Hollywood these days.
Is he?
But I could try. Kinda. Like he was in he's been in quite a few things. He was in The Protector. Oh, here we have that awesome Frank Shamrock guillotine, which causes a rope escape. Sorry, just got respected.
He was in the Fury Road, Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, and he was pretty fucking great in that. Like, he's all right. You don't see him very often in many things, but when he's in those things, he does kind of a good job. Part of his problem, I believe, is he's quite in with Conan Stevens, who's another one of the gigantic Australians. And the problem with Conan Stevens is there is some allegation of inappropriate behavior around female staff on the set of Game of Thrones.
Oh. Well,
there. Yeah.
Well,
He
yeah.
got sacked, so obviously they took steps to it. But since then, he's been hired by other things in Hollywood, so maybe it's not as bad as it was, or maybe he was just a huge dick, and as long as he's not working with those people, it's fine.
Mhm.
But the problem is those two are kind of bros, and so I think it's sort of they're kind of possibly getting confused as the same person because they're both fucking large.
Yeah.
We just saw a bit of a headbutt there from Frank Shamrock, incidental, but we also saw Tsuyoshi Kosaka kick him super hard in the face. So these guys are absolutely going for it here.
Good body shots here from Shamrock.
Yeah, one of the things that the Lion's Den excelled at, I believe, since the arrival of Guy Mezger there, because Guy Mezger was sort of a Kyokushin and full contact karate guy, a lot of his striking was limited to punches to the body, and so they got mean fucking right straights to the body.
Yeah, there's some good action here.
Yeah. And I think as much as Ken likes to take the credit for the Lion's Den, I believe Ken is owed a lot of credit to the Lion for the success of the Lion's Den, especially early on. I believe Frank learned a lot more from DeLucia and a lot more from Mezger than he did from Ken during his time there. This is purely conjecture based on their style. And look at the giant, massive blood just falling out of the eyeball of Tsuyoshi Kosaka there.
Yeah, this cut is like right on his left eyelid. Kind of weird. And it bleeds like explosive blood, and then it just stops bleeding.
Yeah, mystery. Spoilers, a glimpse behind the curtain for Pride Resurrection fans. This is not the first time we've done this.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, we tried to do it as an MMA oddity, as just a standalone, and it wasn't working because my newborn daughter and my son, it just wasn't working. So we decided that we would redo it and redo it this way, where if I have to step away, Alistair can tell you what all about anything better than I could. So
there we go. So we're gonna make some unfounded allegations against the fighting nation of Japan. Part of the reason I think the cut stopped so quickly with Tsuyoshi Kosaka is because they put Vaseline containing adrenaline or epinephrine on the cut. The reason this works is because adrenaline causes a sort of cascade in hormones and chemicals in your body when it enters cuts and slows down bleeding and speeds up clotting. So I'm thinking that maybe they took him over to the corner and just sort of smeared a bit of that on there. We'd have to like look back at it to see if he like flinches super hard away from them when they're applying anything to the cut.
yeah.
That's kind of a bit of a giveaway, but you never know. And this being Japan, they don't care about performance enhancers.
Sure. So would that's something that's illegal? Like I can get it in like a boxing or USADA sense, but like in like day-to-day life,
not supposed to do that.
is adrenaline a controlled substance?
I think you're not supposed to not have it if you're like a pharmacist or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, if you walk around with an EpiPen, you've got adrenaline on you. You've got
Right.
epinephrine.
Yeah.
So it's a synthetic adrenaline. So as long as you have a prescription, I think it's fine. But if you're walking around with it without a prescription, I think that's like class B or whatever. Like you're not doing what you're supposed
It's like, I'm going to get high on adrenaline. Yeah, give me the juice. And you just inject your arm thinking it's going to get you high. Anyway, going back to the Lion's Den. You are totally right. I think the Lion's Den was most successful when they were a group. And it just wasn't Ken Shamrock, because I don't think Lion's Den had much success once the group sort of splintered and went their separate ways.
Yeah, Ken going to WWE sort of was a death knell for the Lion's Den. One, because Ken was less involved in recruitment and sort of who was taking the fights. And I believe that was a big thing. I think Ken had a genuine eye for talent. Secondly, Ken's corner advice got way fucking worse once he went to the WWE. You can hear him. So his early cornering with Frank, some of the other Lion's Den boys, you hear it. Some of it's just sort of, you got to do it, you got to be strong, and stuff like that, just sort of movie stuff. But then a lot of it is really solid technical advice. And then after he goes to the WWE, there's not very much.
Put him in a DDT!
Yeah.
Do a suplex!
Yeah, it's just sweep the leg and shit like that. It's not as good as it was. And I think that being in the WWE environment wasn't as good for Ken. as being like a legit fighter environment, because there's always that ego check in the legit fighter environment, whereas in the WWE, Ken was the fucking most bad dude there, and he always knew he was the most bad dude there, and he bought into that a little more than I think he should have.
Yeah. I think, speaking of that, I really am disappointed in how WWE handled Dan Severn. I can understand it. Okay, he's kind of a quiet, like, I won't say humble, but just sort of that silent man.
Dan can't cut a promo for shit.
But he was a fucking badass. When he would come out
he was.
in his dingy sweater shirt and his little trunks.
Just covered in fucking sweat.
Yeah, I mean, he just
really good look.
Yeah, I was enamored with his look when he first came into WWE, because that's when I first got back into wrestling after having watched it in the late 80s as a kid and then kind of forgetting about wrestling. And then when I came back during the Attitude Era, actually WCW brought me back first with the NWO in 1996.
Yeah. We just saw a classic Lion's Den escape from Frank Shamrock there, which is wait a little while on the ground and then just throw the other dude off you using nothing but strength. Entering a leg lock fight here, but they are too close to the ropes, and they're going to be stood up.
All right, cover for me. I'll be right back, everybody.
That's all right. So, yeah, as we've been talking about wrestling here, we've had quite a nice match. And we'll once again go around. Please support Mark Kerr, because from what we can tell, he is nothing but a nice man. And if he needs help because of your broken fucking medical system in America, give that man some money. We'll also go back to the actual fight here, and we are seeing the nice strikes from Frank Shamrock. Once again, I genuinely think there is a big Guy Mezger and Jason DeLucia influence on the striking of Frank Shamrock. Nice knee to the noggin there from Ken. Oh, not from Ken, from Frank. And he's hitting the side with that cut on it. So that's possibly not good for Tsuyoshi Kosaka, because he had thin skin that cut quite easily. Back into the guillotine here, but they've fallen under the ropes, so they're just going to be stood up without the rope escape. And we are still seeing the porous takedown defense of Eoldi Frank Shamrock. I reckon those knees opened up that cut again, so they got to go over. Oh, there's a big goblet of Vaseline. Let's see what Tsuyoshi does. He shrinks away from it. I stand, not going to say vindicated. I'm just going to... Oh, no, that wasn't Vaseline. That was just cotton bud. So maybe they're just stabbing him super hard in it. My unfounded allegations of steroid abuse and controlled substance abuse continue unabated despite my break. And they've once again stopped the cut of Tsuyoshi Kosaka and ready to go again. So the reason that this match is Tsuyoshi Kosaka versus Frank Shamrock is Tsuyoshi Kosaka had the most cemented shoot reputation and record outside of rings of any of the rings guys. While Yoshihisa Yamamoto had lasted that 20 minutes against Hicks and Gracie, Tsuyoshi Kosaka had gone out and won the Lumax Cup, and then also partaken in a few of the shoots in rings and done quite well for himself. He also, I'm not going to say like a high school champion in judo, but he done very well in his judo time at high school before entering pro wrestling. So not only was he like a cemented tough dude, he sort of proved it, whereas a lot of the other guys in rings hadn't. Mitsuya Nagai, Wataru Socata, and the other ones sort of hadn't had the same level of success as old Tsuyoshi. We're in the fairly dangerous guard of Frank Shamrock. Again, not going to say lending evidence to, but helping my conjecture that he was paid more attention to DeLucia than he did Ken, because Frank's top game, pretty solid, but his bottom game was where a lot of the danger was. And the one member of the Lion's Den who spent a lot of time learning how to function from the bottom was Jason DeLucia, because he'd spent some time with the Gracies before migrating over to the Lion's Den. Mind you, Jason DeLucia went weird in his later career. Something which I should hopefully talk about if I ever get back to doing pancreatic series. I keep starting up on the next couple of fights in the Alive 4 and just sort of screwing it up and going, you know what, I'll come back to that and trying again. Very interesting shit from Tsuyoshi Kosaka there, trying to one-handed Americana Frank Shamrock, using his head to secure the elbow. Very interesting move, very shoot style. Very shoot wrestling, should I say, rather than shoot style, because it'll legit work. It's just not very secure. Perhaps it's more for creating an opening to do something else than actually trying for the submission itself. In the guard of Frank Shamrock here, Tsuyoshi pushing away, Frank working an escape, sitting out. Tsuyoshi trying to pass here, but Frank regarding solidly. Interesting butterfly guard here from Frank Shamrock. And working the forearm chokes here. Interesting little fact. This is sort of the beginnings of one of the better mixed martial arts teams. Well, I'm not going to say better mixed martial arts trios. There was Maurice Smith, there was Frank Shamrock, and there was Tsuyoshi Kosaka, and they created the Alliance, where the three of them sort of went and trained. I don't know if they had any notable students, but they all sort of trained together and learn from each other in their period after this match. And you can see Frank's guard evolve somewhat to the TK guard. I think TK guard is sort of a modified butterfly and open guard. Good front kick there from TK. Good palm strikes here from Frank Shamrock. And I think that TK's guard actually came from his time in judo, where closed guard, well, at least in the current fucking iteration of that ever-changing rule set, the closed guard is illegal. You can't close your guard. You have to maintain an open guard. And that's sort of coming in and out of the judo rule set over the years. Good knees in the clinch here from Frank Shamrock. He's trying hard to get past the arms of TK to land a clean one. Something I myself have struggled with in my matches, trying to find a way past the arms to land a knee. And I found the best way to do that is actually knee somewhere else and have them cover that up. Ooh, nice turning hook kick from Frank Shamrock there. Very unexpected, but sort of only clipped the shoulder of TK.
All right, I'm back, and I did want to. Did you note yet that it's Yuji Shimada, portly Yuji Shimada is our ref before his.
I did not. I wasn't paying very much attention to
before his Pride career.
Looking at the rippling delts of Frank Shamrock. But yeah, it is Yuji. Yeah, he's one of our favorites. Dear idea. I've been talking about the Lion's Den, and this fight here is also part of the collapse of the Lion's Den, because Frank would go and start training with TK and Maurice Smith rather than training with Ken fairly soon after this.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'd form the team, the Alliance. I don't know if there's any actual notable students there. I'm just repeating myself for the audience. But there's no notable students. But those two would all sort of train each other, and I think genuinely improve in the time sort of soon after this fight. Still seeing the guard work of Frank Shamrock here. This has been the story of the match. TK is able to get Frank down, and Frank's been able to create a lot of sort of momentary danger from the bottom, whereas TK's been using a lot of pressure trying to grind into Frank and possibly create an opening.
Frank really needs Guy Mezger to come around and give him some corner advice on fixing his fucking knee guard. Fix that knee guard. Fix that knee guard right there. Pull it up. And Mezger just...
Look, Yuji Shimada's pointing at it. Fix it. Fix it.
Right, that's Mezger's only role in the corner is yelling, fix your knee guard.
You've got time. He's distracted. Fix it.
Right.
They're going to fix it now.
Very
both guys looking a bit tired.
Very sweaty. Both guys are very sweaty.
Well, they've been fighting for nearly half an hour now, so that's going to get you sweaty if anything is going to. Plus, I've always found that the lighting that the Japanese have for the fights significantly better than the lighting I've seen in American-style fights. I don't understand why. I think maybe it's wrestling lighting and they focus more on a downlight.
Yes.
So everyone looks... Yeah, looks more shredded, looks more sweaty.
Sure. I think American-style sporting, this includes wrestling and MMA. It's the lighting is sort of even across the entire arena, where opposed is Japan, and maybe it's changed since then because If you look at like a Rising event now, the lighting looks like
they have different
American.
lighting.
Yeah. But back in the 90s, where they had the focus on the ring, you can't see much of the audience. It's blacked out, you know? So, and that's cool. That's the way it should be.
Nice takedown there. Outer reap from Tsuyoshi Kosaka, but unfortunately near the ropes, so I expect Yuji Shimada to come sliding in and go break fairly soon.
He's just making sure his knees aren't touching the ropes.
Yeah, because a foot on the ropes can be seen as an escape if it's a legitimate attempt. Tsuyoshi Kosaka using his strength here to try and set up an Americana on Frank Shamrock. But I believe that Frank's time with Ken will make that not really work out, because if there's a man who uses strength in his moves, it's Ken Shamrock. Because that was a strong fucking dude. What have we got here? It's more side control from Tsuyoshi Kosaka. He's really grinding performance from that man here. Very methodical on the ground. The stand-up has been fun as hell, and when Frank can explode like that, it creates some interesting shit going on the ground. But Tsuyoshi, otherwise, very controlling.
So, and I brought this up when we tried to do this last time when we were watching the fight. What was the Japanese fan? What was their awareness of rings works versus shoots? Were they under the assumption everything was a shoot?
Yes. So we're looking here. This is a really cool move. I'm just going to talk about that very briefly. So Tsuyoshi Kosaka here is trying to one-arm hammerlock Frank Shamrock, but Frank's arms up too high, and Tsuyoshi... And the reason Frank's able to create that angle is because he's got that empty half guard on Tsuyoshi Kosaka's leg. So this is a really cool little spot that... one could have been very close to like a rope escape from Frank Shamrock, but also was stymied by just savvy from Frank Shamrock from the bottom. And also Frank going for Tsuyoshi Kosaka's like signature escape there, the TK scissors. All right, back to the shootiness and or workiness of rings. So the general deal with rings was when it was started, they said everybody else is fake, rings is real, and that's the way things are going to be. Obviously, this was super untrue, but the way
but the Japanese fan, were they savvy enough as a whole to realize that it was fake? But this is the same Japanese fan that trusted Takada.
Exactly. So
Okay.
the belief was that this was real, but they also was an understanding that I'm not going to say that it's not like Animal Farm where all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. When they saw like a match with a different energy, so actually a shoot match, you can tell, well, an interesting one, a fun one, you can tell that the crowd goes, this is something different, this is something new, this is cool, and they lift like a lot more. I actually say it's about even for like the best of shoot style. So later we're going to have one of the great shoot style matches. You'll hear that the crowd's pretty into that one.
Sure, in terms of shoot style matches that are clearly a work, but the effort and the performance put into it is just so amazing, and that is our main event. It is a treat, so
yeah, enjoy that when it comes around. But there's also like matches like this one, they can feel the energy and the effort between the two guys, and they're like, ooh, this feels different. It's sort of a willing suspension of disbelief. They're not going to say, well, this is real and the other one isn't. They're going to say, these two guys are trying really hard, or maybe they really hate each other, or maybe they just feel that their pride's on the line, and I can feel that, and they lift as a crowd. But yeah, in your modern day, when you understand what a shoot style and what a work is, and if you watch a lot of both, you can more easily see the difference. And I think I approached this from the other angle, from a lot of fans on the internet. I see a match and I go, all right, so the conjecture is that this one is a real match, and I go, all right, real until proved otherwise.
right.
And whereas a lot of people will come into something like Rings and they'll go, Rings is a wrestling organization, fake until proved otherwise. And
Yeah.
possibly won't believe
Sure,
either way.
sure.
So there's a lot of people who are like that with Sakuraba's entire career. Just idiots on the internet who are just like, nah, every single Sakuraba match was a work.
Right. No, I would say the evidence is clearly that this is a shoot. And I think we saw a shoot earlier with Yuri Kuchkin and I can't even
Malcolm
remember.
May.
Yeah, Malcolm
Miscellaneous
May.
Australian
Right. All right. In between the round break here, the next fight, I will be out for just a second. I will be back though.
You got about a minute while they interview both people, so that'll be fine. So I'll just go on like an aimless diatribe about shoot style and work style, if I can think of anything new to say. The deal with the whole thing is that everybody was trying to be real at the time of the first UWF. That was a new and somewhat transgressive thing that Akira Maeda had started, and then when it came back around with the UWF 2.0, they'd sort of gotten closer and closer to that fake and that realism style. And some of the matches in the UWF 2.0 are just hot garbage and terrible. Just super bad shoot style where it's just we'll stand up and we'll throw leg kicks at each other, and then one of us will hit a judo throw, and then we'll muck around on the ground not doing anything. But then other guys like Funaki and Tamura had started at that point. Funaki, Tamura, and Sakuraba, when they started with that, they were all doing fairly well and were very interesting to watch. And then we come to the rings, the Pancras, and the UWFI, like Triumvirate, and they were all arguing that they were only the real one. And so what we've got is sort of a willing suspension of disbelief from the fans. They've come in and they go, well, it's wrestling, but I've always believed that wrestling is real ever since that Muhammad Ali and Antonio Inoki had that terrible, terrible match. And so there's just this awkward spot to be in if you're a fan, where you can see the difference between a shoot match and a work match, but you can't admit to you've got to maintain that cognitive dissonance. There we go, more psychology words. Cognitive dissonance of understanding that while some of these matches are real, some of these matches are more real than others. And look at those cuts on the eyelid of TK. They're both super nasty. I imagine that if he closes his eyes, he can probably see out of that eye, which is not a good thing. So if we're just going to briefly pull up both of our guys' careers here and see where they went to next. So we've got Tsuyoshi Kosaka. After this, more rings for Tsuyoshi Kosaka. He'd spend a lot of his time here. Boris Chelyakov, Mikhail Lukin, Rob Van Estonk. So he's got a couple of matches. Rob Van Estonk at Rings Holland, so I'm going to believe that was a shoot. It was 57 seconds in the second round. Kimo Leopoldo at UFC 16. Quite a good match if you want to watch that one. Kimo is an interesting fucking guy. Not actually dead meth head Kimo Leopoldo. P.D. Williams at UFC 17.5 Ultimate Brazil. That was an interesting one because that's a really fun match if you turn out all the crowd noise, because the crowd in Brazil, they've been raised on Vale Tudo, and so they're expecting these two idiots just to beat the shit out of each other. Whereas Pete Williams and Tsuyoshi Kosaka, they've sort of worked together. They both understand they're from a Japanese background, and they sort of have a bit of a grappling match with some striking on their feet. They don't really punch very much on the ground, and the crowd does not like that. Then we have some bad times for Tsuyoshi Kosaka. And lost to Bas Rutten at UFC 18. Some people say it's an arguable loss. It's very interesting. There's a stand-up from John McCarthy that's kind of questionable there. And then Bas Rutten just clobbers him to death. And then not very much later, he gets KO'd by Gilbert Ivel and then forced to lose to Yoshihisa Yamamoto. So that's super bad.
Yeah, I did. So Yoshihisa Yamamoto, other than his Vale Tudo Japan and his later Pride, was all his stuff in Rings Works?
No, there was quite a few losses in Rings that are definitely shoots.
Oh, okay.
So we're going into some of our fan base will know that I had an interview with Chris Hazeman that I can't really say everything about because some of the conjecture that he says in there, exposes the business and whatever else. Mm-hmm. But some things which he gave me permission to talk about at a later time, as long as I was, made it clear that this is sort of his conjecture from understanding at the time. They're not a definite fact.
Juicy stuff, huh?
Here we have Stern Dad and Akira Maeda. So Chris suggests that Yoshihisa Yamamoto fairly early decided that he wanted to be the star of Rings, and Akira Maeda, rather than going, well, go prove yourself as a star by having great matches and stuff, because Yoshihisa Yamamoto, pretty good shoot style guy, and also not as bad as his fight record would lead you to believe. The way that Akira Maeda tried to prove to Yoshihisa Yamamoto that he wasn't ready to be the star of rings was to have him almost die in the ring several times against giant people.
I thought you were going to say that Akira Maeda made him prove that he was ready to be the star by diddling his dinghy in the shower.
No. More along the lines of... So there's the Ricardo Moraes fight where Yoshihisa Yamamoto almost dies in a minute and a half. There's the semi-shield fight where Yoshihisa Yamamoto almost dies. And just a lot of matches where Yoshihisa Yamamoto comes very close to actual death because he's matched up against people who are just awful matchups for him because Maeda's a bit of a vindictive cunt.
Yes. So Stern Dad here, when he first debuted in rings, he... got a victory over Volkan at the time. So I think Stern Dad was held in high regard by the rings.
Definitely within the Russian guys. I think this is a fairly well-deserved reputation, at least under rings rules. He was pretty good in the King of Kings tournaments because he went to decision with Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. That's pretty fucking good.
Sure.
Beat Claudio Blanco or mysterious Portuguese man who'd only just won the Gear Championship of the World, only just won the Mundials, and he beat him in 14 seconds with a knee bar. So Andrei Kopylov, very good in a grappling context, despite looking like he should be running a barbecue and selling propane and propane accessories.
Yes. He did get destroyed by Hans Niemann in that first Rings Holland free fight event, and he looked terrible.
Yeah.
He looked awful against...
So the thing is, he can't strike. He probably couldn't punch his way out of a paper bag, as the saying goes. But what he could do was grapple. So if he was in a fight where the main threat of the other guy was grappling, Andrei Kopylov, well, he's technically very good. He's got interesting attacks because he's a Sambo guy. And he's also he's got that dad strength.
Yes. Akira Maeda's body is atrocious looking at this point in time in his career.
Yeah, this is during the collapse of Maeda. So Maeda, very odd during this part of his career. Sometimes he'd understand that, I'm probably too old, I'm probably too broken, I'm not in as good shape as I should be, I probably shouldn't be the star of rings. And so then he goes, all right, Yamamoto, I'm going to lose a match to you, and you'll be number one. And then he goes, hold on, I'm Akira Maeda. And then he goes, no, Yamamoto, you're going to lose your next match against me, and I'm going to be number one in rings again. And he just sort of rotates through that several times until his eventual retirement match against Alexander Karolin, which again is shown like a massive... Maeda's not it's Karolin. Maybe I should have a good performance, but lose against the wrestling championship of the world. No, it's got to be a draw.
Right, exactly, yeah. And there's people...
I got to get my shit in.
Oh my god, if you want to see just people punching toward the sky, look at the comments, generally the comments that are made on my MMA oddities for Akira Maeda versus Alexander Karolin. There is so many Russian fans that legit stick up for the fact that that fight wasn't a work.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
Yeah, exactly. They should be no shit, this is a work.
This fight was an obvious work because...
Right, Karolin would have destroyed.
Karolin, gold medalist, however many times, obviously the best wrestler in the world, would tear this man to pieces.
Exactly.
No, he would never betray the Soviet Union by
right.
making it a work.
Right. So, no, they are very angry, generally hate me. I get generally a lot of hate from the Russians in the comments for that video.
You can see why Andrei Kopylov was sort of a mainstay of rings here, because even with an out-of-shape broom so there's the saying in wrestling, that man could have a good match with a broom. So even with the out-of-shape, egomaniacal fucking Akira Maeda, Andrei Kopylov is making this shit look pretty interesting. This is also... Oh, after you.
I was going to say, at what time period did Yoji Anjo punch out Akira Maeda for his previous transgressions that Akira Maeda claims Or Yoji Anjo claims that Akira Maeda diddled his dinghy in the shower.
I can't remember that one. I'm not 100%.
So Yoji
doesn't surprise me.
So Yoji Anjo did. There's a picture of Yoji.
I remember there's a picture of Akira Maeda with like a massive broken, like bloody nose, and Yoji Anjo just screaming at a bunch of paparazzi. I can't remember when that was.
So maybe that
fuck you, Maeda. Again, I can't say it enough.
Maybe that was the turn of Akira Maeda just giving up and saying "fuck this," you know.
Yeah, getting beaten up by Yoji Anjo. Mind you, Akira Maeda has been beaten up by a lot of his fellow pro wrestlers throughout the years. There's a story that Minoru Suzuki told fairly. It's on Twitter. It's a translation. I can't remember where to find it. But they've all gone drinking out in Sapporo, Japan, I believe. And Maeda starts a fight at the bar because he's saying, I'm the best here, I should be the star, whatever else. Starts fighting with people and starts like this bar brawl. And so one of the young boys goes, Fujiwara-san, look at Maeda, please stop him doing this. And Fujiwara goes, oh, okay, obviously, I know exactly what to do. Someone's telling me to look at Akira Maeda while he's drunk. He's obviously being a dick. And so he just goes over and just beats the fuck out of Akira Maeda just for about 5 minutes. Just breaks his nose, bloodies his face, and whatever else. And so this is not the first time that Akira Maeda has been beaten up by one of his fellow wrestlers for being an awful person. But it just never... it never stopped him.
So that was obviously in the UWF days?
Yeah, I believe the first incarnation of the UWF.
So what surprises me is that it was Fujiwara, who might be a bigger fraud than Akira Maeda in the ring. And I always say this because just like Akira Maeda, Yoshiaki Fujiwara, I don't believe has ever had a real shoot fight in front of cameras.
No, but unlike Akira Maeda, I believe that Fujiwara's shoot reputation was at least somewhat deserved, because as a smaller guy without the wrestling look, he was always fairly top billing in any promotion he's been in. And there's one way to get that in Japan, and that's to beat the shit out of everybody behind cameras.
Sure. That's what I should have sort of put a disclaimer on that, is that I do believe that.
So a wrestling fraud, yes, but
but no, he's one of those guys that is tough behind the scenes and can easily force his will onto training partners.
Any promotion he's in, yeah.
Yeah. Now Akira Maeda, you're right. Akira Maeda had the height. He was 6'2", 6'3". Fujiwara is a small guy, and it's easy enough for Akira Maeda to out of the blue just kick a guy in the face when the other guy's not expecting it in a wrestling ring, you know? And like that that is Akira Maeda's way of proving he's a tough guy, you know?
Exactly. Booting somebody else right in the fucking orbital for no reason. Mind you, that lesson was well learned by Maeda's protege, Takada.
Right.
Yes. Time
sure.
Picked up
And
Koji Kitao.
you know what?
May he rest in peace.
I will say we got to give a lot of props to Yoji Anjo. I hear he's a restaurant owner now in Japan, but he had some balls to fly over to America to fight Rickson Gracie, to challenge him. I don't think Yoji Anjo was really expecting a fight to happen.
No, so here's the deal. They actually wanted to send someone over to Rickson Gracie's dojo, and they thought, you know what, if we just leave him there for a month or two, we'll know everything there is to know, and then he can come back, and then we can go over and beat him. That was like how little they thought of who just... Oh, yeah, Maeda just won.
Yeah,
so
Maeda just won.
That was an alright little shoot style match. It wasn't terrible.
Okay.
It was actually fairly good as far as shoot style goes, but it's just Maeda. We can't talk about the match that's happening. We have to talk about, everything else surrounding Maeda.
Right. But I will say, Yoji Anjo, I don't know if he actually stepped through the doors.
On that man must be either like the size of fucking bowling balls,
right?
Or
he has a tiny, he has a tiny little cat brain. So
gigantic balls.
So was that the plot? Was to send Yoji Anjo over there to infiltrate, to learn the ways of the Gracie clan?
No, they were going to send one of the young boys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the young boy would come back and say, all right, here's what they do. Here's how you can avoid it, Anjo. But also, Anjo just got fucked in that one. Takada really fucked Anjo over.
Yeah.
Because the beef was between Takada and Hickson.
Right.
But then he sends over Anjo. And it's just,
Yeah, Anjo, he was in a real tough spot there. I don't think he explicitly wanted to fight. I think he wanted to maybe get a rise out of Hickson so Hickson would actually, fight Takada. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Takada, in what world did he think that he could actually stand in a fight with this guy who, at that time, had demolished the competition at the Valley Tudo Japan 94?
So the world that Takada lived in was the world of the UWFI booking. He is as good as...
So I think the story was that they kept trying to convince Hicks and Gracie to do a work, and that Takada would go over.
Or to do a match in the UWFI and maybe work like the first round and then shoot the round afterwards, which I wouldn't do with Takada because Takada is completely untrustworthy.
Exactly. Koji Katao, look what's going to happen.
Poor Kitao, he's getting head kicked in heaven now, that big, beautiful dumb.
Yes. So I will pause it here because I do want to hear Volkan talk. It sounds like he could be. He's got a very deep voice. It sounds like very deep. This is the first time I have heard Volkan. Well, no, I heard him talk. He was doing like a magic trick, but he was very soft spoken. Now he sounds like, listen to his voice. He sounds like really deep here. Like he's got a voice box on. So Volkan, of course, he's a Russian. He wouldn't be a Russian if he wasn't wearing a running suit.
Oh yeah, it's Adidas too, but he's not sweating.
Almost sounds like he's doing a voice.
It's possible he is. He's doing his Russian villain voice because he is the villain in this match.
Sure.
Taking on the... at this time, I actually believe that Kiyoshi Tamura should have been the star of Rings, even if he wasn't.
Yeah. When did he start in Rings? Was it 90? Was it 93, 94?
95. So it was in the UWF 2.0 before, lost to Akira Maeda, and then after that he went to UWFI. He got sick of playing. He had a shoot against I'm forgetting his damn name. The really giant guy who looks like a shaved Bigfoot. I'll think of that one later and just.
He's a beautiful man. He doesn't look Japanese though. Is he South Korean? Is he?
That's actually part of I think the deal is he's got something other than Japanese in him. And
okay, because
everyone's super racist to him.
Now, okay, I am not an expert at.
Not as bad as fuck. I'm just really bad with names here. Sexyama.
Sexyama, yes.
Because Sexyama, he's definitely half Korean, and then apparently everyone just is super racist. The poor
well, that is Japan for you. They're very I won't say xenophobic, but they're very xenocentric. Like they're Japanese. It is like they really
if
do.
you're Japanese, you're definitely supposed to be Japanese.
Right. If you're a tourist, a tourist, it's okay. Like to not be Japanese, but if you live there, you have at least better speak the language, or you are fucked. So anyway, I'm looking at him, and I'm not great at like determining Asian nationalities, but I can look at his eyes and say he looks like is not all Japanese. That's just me, though. I could be wrong.
So things you didn't know you were gonna get when you tune into Pride Resurrection.
Right. Also, his cheekbones.
I can see from the width of his skull.
Right. Well, he's a very.
His constructiveness area of his
right.
of his lobe of his brain is oversized.
He's definitely he's a pretty man, a pretty Japanese guy, but he looks like he doesn't have like some of his features just don't look Japanese to me.
Perhaps. Gary Albright is who I'm thinking of. So in the UWFI, Gary Albright and Kiyoshi Tamura, like they got into it. They had like a big argument and then didn't manage to solve that and actually had like a shoot in the ring. So the first few minutes of that is just Gary Albright throwing Tamura around. Like
I would not think that is a good matchup for Tamura versus Gary Albright.
It's pretty bad for the first while. Like he definitely gets concussed after one of these suplexes and then just manages to catch a rear naked choke. Right? Like,
okay.
He is not in a good way when it happens. And so after that, they had a new respect for each other. But Tamura got sick of playing second fiddle to Nobuhiko Takada, and so then
Yeah.
he came across to rings when he got the offer. And
So he could play
yeah,
second
he's-
fiddle to Akira Maeda.
Exactly. Well, he's kind of used to playing second fiddle to Akira Maeda because in his fucking debut in the UWF 2.0, fucking Maeda beats the shit out of him just mercilessly for no reason. It's awful. And he can't
Sounds
do
like Akira
shit.
Maeda.
Yeah.
So here we go. It's our
Just-
main event.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got the music of Kiyoshi Tamura, which is some good fucking music. And he's shirt cocking, which is normally not a good look for a man, but somehow works on Kiyoshi Tamura.
You know, I said that I don't always tuck in my shirts, but when I do tuck in my shirts, I tuck them into my underwear.
Ah, there you go. He's got some rough-looking cauliflower here, which is
A good sign.
something you don't necessarily see in shoot-style performers. So that
No.
shows that he's at least trying.
Yeah.
Interesting sort of background of Kiyoshi Tamura. He did sumo at school rather than the usual judo.
Looks like he has sans knee guards on his ankle.
Oh no, they're down around his ankles. So
Oh, okay.
fix them before the match.
Okay.
So you can complain about it then.
Okay, I'm gonna say those knee guards need to be fixed. Where's Guy Mezger? Mezger just comes in and kindly helps him fix his knee guards.
The lights go down, the Undertaker's bell rings, and Mezger tears his way out of the ring and fixes the knee guard and sews the ring.
And then he's gone. So
Never to
anyway,
be seen again.
I cannot understate how good this match coming up is. So it
Don't
is
say
really
that.
good.
Now that we've said that, everyone will watch it and go, "Oh, super disappointing match."
There's
Thought it
no
was
way,
gonna
no
suck
way anybody
Um,
could watch this upcoming match and say that it was not freaking amazing. Because I will say that I am not a big shoot style fan, but I watched this match and I'm like, holy shit, that's the best shoot style match I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Oh well, fuck, you've ruined it now. The whole audience is gonna hate it. I found that when recommending something to somebody else, you always go, "Yeah, pretty good," and they'll go, "Oh, okay."
And then they say, okay, I see
like
what you,
this,
I see
this
what you.
match will give you an erection if you're a man, a heterosexual man. You'll just find yourself spontaneously hard. But
I should do that when I
tell
recommend
you that-
movies.
yeah. Definitely undersell it all the time. Otherwise, when people go in and you've told them, "Oh, it's the best shit ever," they've gone in expecting more than it can ever supply.
Sure.
And then they'll be disappointed.
That's like
But, I
for
recommend-
like Inception, the movie. You ever seen Christopher Nolan's Inception?
yeah. And then if I recommend that to somebody, I say, "Yeah, pretty good." And then they come out and they go, "Oh, it's so confusing." I go,
You know what I
"What's
said
confusing?"
when
They go, "Oh,
somebody
it's pretty good."
when I was recommending that movie to somebody? I said it was the most amazing experience in my entire life.
Oh, and then they came back and said, "What the fuck's wrong with you?"
Right, but
What
see,
did
for
you do?"
me, like, too bad about Christopher. I'm going to talk about Christopher Nolan movies just for a second here. His movies you really can only see once because after that first time, they don't have the same magic, and you also see all the flaws. But if you could only see every Christopher Nolan movie once and never see it again, you would think he was the greatest filmmaker ever to live.
Untrue. Christopher Nolan cannot direct one-on-one fights.
Oh, true.
I see
true.
Christopher Nolan's one-on-one fights; they are just garbage.
But he is a hack. His movies are very hacky because they're filled with plot holes. They don't make sense when you start to break them down. He is a complete hack.
Christopher Nolan's movies are smarter in the ideas than they are in execution. I think.
Sure. Oh yeah. But I mean, if you pick them apart, like all the baffling like story plot holes, it's like, wait, hold on, this doesn't make sense because if this happened. Anyway, let's talk about this.
But then you talk to Chris, and Chris goes, "Well, I thought it'd be cool."
Right. So there's
And you know what? Fair enough, Chris.
there's Yuri Kochkin is in the corner of Volkan here.
So that explains his grappling.
Yes,
prowess, because you weren't here for our first match, but Yuri Kochkin, despite being the Kyokushin guy, a lot more grappling in that match. And was
Yeah, so-
beating,
Yeah. So, and I didn't get a chance to mention this, but I was told I have it on good authority that Yuri Kochkin, my son has come in. Come here, Bobo. Come here. I was told on good authority that he was a karate guy, but he was a very good grappler. So that obviously came from Volkan. And I asked, I said, is Kochkin, does he have a Sambo background? And I was told, no Sambo background, just he's a good grappler.
So he was probably trained by Volkan afterwards. Here we see the
All right, hold on. I'll be right back.
That's all right. I'll actually commentate this match because it is something worth watching. The striking of Volkan. Oh, here we go. Just look at the energy between these two guys. Big old wrist lock throw from Volkan, and the only man who can make you believe that shit is Volk. And he's going for the armbar over here. Very cool shit just to start with. And this is what you need in shoot style. You need hyper realism. And the rope escape from Kiyoshi Tamura, desperate with the absolute like tip of his toe. And oh, his shoulder hurts. Oh, he's selling. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, the striking of Volkan, the difference between a shoot style match of Volkan and an actual shoot match of Volkan is in the striking. Is Volkan throwing bus driver uppercuts? Then it is a shoot. Is Volkan kicking? Then it's shoot style. There you go. That's the difference. These guys, Volkan really fucking big. Like he was 6'4", 6'5", because Tamura's at least like decent size. And Tamura could like sell a kick. He could make you believe that kick was coming with full strength because it's all full hip up until like he'll stop his knee and then he'll flick out his leg. So it's a taekwondo-ish style. No, interesting throw there from Volkan. Makikomi, but he's given up his back. Very Sambo, so he's selling the story. Into an armbar from Kiyoshi Tamura, who then switches out of the armbar, goes over the top and then thinks better of it. Swings back under for the armbar. Rolls over. And then gets a break. No rope escape from Volkan. Ooh. So he's still losing. Fuck. I completely lost it. The kicking style of Kiyoshi Tamura. So you see the difference in the shoot kicks and the shoot style kicks of Kiyoshi Tamura. And they're both about as fast. Tamura will stop his knee and then flick out his leg in sort of a taekwondo style. So it's very fast, but looks hard. Whereas with his shoot kicks, his knee won't stop. He will swing his leg all the way through. I love that ankle lock entry from Volkan. It is so cool, and I've seen Mikhail Lukin pull that off against some anonymous guy in a Russian event. So he'll catch a kick, he will stomp on the far knee, and then he will flop back at the same time onto the leg lock. Looks super cool. Looks even cooler when Mikhail Lukin does it.
I am back, so I do not want to miss
this. I've just been marking out the whole time. Okay. You did miss the time that Volkan wrist lock throws.
Yeah, no, it is awesome.
It is so good. Oh, here we've got just some weird Volkan shit going on.
Like a twister.
He's, like cross heel holding the bottom leg and then trying to arm triangle Kiyoshi Tamura here. It's so odd, but it's just so fun to see. Because this is what you want to do when you're doing shoot style. You want to do stuff that looks like it could kind of work, but you're not necessarily going to be able to pull it off on anybody.
Yeah, just good stuff from both these guys. I mean, they work so well together. Like I said, one of their other matches later in 1998, I think as a Mega Battle Tournament final for 98, is also highly recommended. A really good match. Like I said, I think these guys were just born to shoot style fight each other.
Yeah, I like the way that people say, oh, you shouldn't sell in shoot style because you don't sell hurt in like a mixed martial arts match.
Right.
Well, the way that Kiyoshi Tamura does it is very good. Like he'll like roll out his shoulder a little bit and have like a little wince on his face, or just a little something. Like it's not sort of WWE selling where you hold onto it and you scream and then you stand up and then you shake it out and you try and throw it. But oh, you can't throw it because it's hurt. No, he like just roll his shoulder and just grimace just a little bit, or like he'll throw his hand out and then just have a little twinge in his face. Very subtle, but
yeah,
it's definitely there. You can still see it even in the crowd rather than as a camera. You can see, oh, that hurt him. He's still able to use it because it's a shoot.
Right.
But you know, he's still having a great time. And those kicks! Oh god, they're so good. I've been talking about the mechanics of Kiyoshi Tamura's shoot style kicks.
Volkan doesn't strike an impressive figure, but he still looks like a weathered Russian guy that could kick your ass.
If you were in the wilds of the Balkans, or not the Balkans, the Balkans, not the Falklands, those ones, or Georgia or something like that.
Yeah.
Some ex-USSR country, and you see Volkan in the woods, you run the fuck away.
Yes.
Nice little leg lock fight here. Good, like struggling defense from Volkan, and then he's like grabbed a face lock here trying to pull Yoshitamura off his leg, and he's pulled him off, but he's yanked him over into Socata. And then you see it, just a little shake of the head, like, oh, my jaw hurts,
Good
but I'm
stuff.
okay, I can still continue. Such a dude. See, there it is again, just subtle little things like, my face still hurts, even though I'm now out of the hole. Yeah. For any aspiring pro wrestlers and or people who like watching wrestling, there's a great it's a seminar with Al Snow in it. Oh, nice Kimura double wrist lock here from Volkan. Well, I don't know what the name for that is in Russian, so that
right.
But, yeah, there's a great there's a interview / seminar with Al Snow in it, talking about how to actually work a submission in a match, and that is, don't just flop to the ground and let the other guy do it. Struggle, pretend, do your best to get out of it, and then if you're supposed to lose to it, only like sell it when it's on, not before then. And it's really good, and you should just watch that shit because it's fucking great.
Sure, I think for the most part, if you watch WWE, that's typical of what they do now. WWE now is more of a sleek product than it was in its past. Although you could say the writing sucks and like the present or like the storylines or whatever characters suck. That's one thing, but I think the wrestling is pretty typically is pretty good from all the guys.
There's still occasional garbage. But I think that's just pro wrestling. There will always be garbage.
Right.
Like, garbage rings matches. Rings is odd because the best of rings is like the absolute pinnacle of the art form, in my opinion, of wrestling. Whereas the worst of rings is just hideous garbage.
Right.
And always lasts half an hour because it's rings.
Right. Yeah, there. When you talk about that, Alice knows talking about how to sell a submission. There's some bad examples of that in rings from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the struggle going for the ropes. Oh, so good. And he's I'm in pain. Oh, that was lucky I got that. Look at the story these two guys do. It's so good. And the thing is, the groundwork in this match is exciting because they're both always trying. They're always trying to escape.
Right. This is good shoot style. This is not like Tatsuo Nakano.
Shoot style. When he goes to the ground. Oh, look at the kick.
Yeah, he's waving it off. He's waving it off. Yeah. Tatsuo Nakano rolling on the mat with Yoji Anjo for 10 minutes doing nothing.
Yeah. Or they both just end up in an ankle lock and then do nothing and then get stood up by the referee. Nice throw there from Kiyoshi Tamura, but straight into a rear chin lock from Volkan here. And I'm not sure what he's trying to do here. I think he's like trying to shrug up to open up his airways.
Yeah. Not sure if that works.
Probably not what you should actually do if you're trying to defend that. Volkan probably going to sit out and try for some crazy leg shit soon. Reaching for the foot of... Oh, there you go. Ankle...
Yeah, right.
Just look at the ridiculous inventive shit from Volkan. Oh, look at the pain on the face.
And yeah, I'm not sure if this actually hurts, but it looks like it could hurt.
Yeah, exactly. That's the great thing about Volkan. He does a bunch of shit. Oh, look at that. And so he gets out of it by using a straight arm lock, and then Volkan rolls away, and he's like subtly sells the elbow, like doesn't straighten out his arm straight away. He's still in a little bit of pain.
I mean, this is great stuff. I mean, you could probably show this for any typical wrestling fan, and I think they would be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I've shown this to MMA fans and not told them that it's a work, and they've enjoyed it. Like, and then I've gone, by the way, that was a work, and they go, "Fucking what?"
This selling of the leg here is good too. Like chopping him down. That is.
Yeah. That's classic shoot style, but it works well here because they both, put intention into it rather than just 5 leg kicks. Oh, I'm supposed to fall down on the 5th one. Okay, I got kicked half a second ago. Suppose I'll fall over this time. The reason that can work so well is because of the way that Tamura is kicking. Like I was telling the audience before, he stops his knee well before the point of impact and then flicks out his shin afterwards. It still makes a good sound. It still looks super legit. But yeah, it doesn't hit half as hard. Oh, kick catch from Volkan. Oh, rolling guillotine from Kyoshi. And look at Volk. He's struggling. Look at him. He's looking at the ropes. He's reaching with his foot. Oh, he got it with his toe. Fuck. The drama.
You know what's great about this match is that you're watching it now, and the excitement is behind Tamara toppling Volkan. Volkan is, the star. But you honestly think that this match could end at any time. It's like, this is setting up for the ending, right? This got to be the ending here.
Here we go. Classic Volk. I think he's going to try. Oh, no, he's not going for his double wrist lock suplex. Instead, he's trying to sit out into an armbar. Very interesting. And you can straighten out the arm with an armbar like this because you've not got your hip involved. You've got a lot of room for the shoulder to escape.
Great scramble.
Super great.
Yeah, great scramble there.
And look at the selling from Tamara.
You can tell the crowd doesn't know what's going to happen. They don't know.
Yeah. This is not... What was that? The PWFG event. It's not Jerry Flynn versus whoever he was fighting.
Right.
I believe it was Nakano.
Oh, Tetsuo Nakano.
Here it is. Rolling double wrist lock attempt from Volkan. But he's not got Tamara secure, so he pops free. Oh, armbar from Kyoshi Tamara. Like, look at this. There's no downtime on the ground where they both just sort of sit there going, oh, what do we do?
There you go.
Get rid of his fucking head. It's disgusting.
Don't ask me why I have that loaded up in OBS. It's just some clip art.
It's so good.
You say Tatsuo Nakano shit, and I agree with you.
He's a lump. Tatsuo Nakano's best shoot style match was against Masakatsu Funaki, and in that match, Funaki is just furious at Nakano and beats him like badly. Just blows his nose open.
That I can get behind. That I can understand because I think that's a natural reaction to Tetsuo Nakano.
You just see that man. And you just oh, look at that! A down from Kiyoshi from Volka. One moment. Sorry, I gotta come back, mate.
All right. So now I am taking over. So we thought it was going to be all Alistair's show, but now I am in the driver's seat. So this is some great... Oh, he's back.
Oh, here we are. Oh, look at that throw and the struggle in the throw and we're in an armbar. So good.
I was just going to... Oh, he's tapping out. That was a great match. That was just good stuff. Didn't expect... Tamara to win here. I was just starting to say that I'm back in the driver's seat and it's my show again. Then you come back.
No, quite.
Oh, and I'm losing you now. We're losing you. I think we're losing you, buddy. I think I've lost him.
So I don't know.
Oh, he's back.
It's the Central West and we're in the middle of the drought, so it might spit.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's gonna rain? Is that big news?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
We've been in a fairly horrible drought here in Australia for a fair while.
Okay.
So, interesting things about this match here. You'll have noticed that before this, we had Tamara was deep in an armbar, and then Volkan kind of slipped out, and then they both stood up, and then Volkan slapped Tamara down.
Mm.
I think that previous armbar was supposed to be the finish, because it came off like a really, really cool scramble.
Right.
But then it up. And the thing is, you can see that they're good performers because they go, right, we're going to reset now we're going to slap you because we've got enough points for a down. Mm. And then we'll just try the move again, but we'll do it subtly different this time. So they went into that delayed judo throw and then into that armbar. Very cool finish.
Yeah. You're starting to break up, so I'm wondering if the weather is starting to mess with your Wi-Fi signal there.
Possibly. Also, as I've said before, the internet in Australia, to call it 2 tin cans on the end of a string would be an insult to 2 tin cans on the end of a string.
All right, so
I might actually leave now and leave you to do the outro.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's a good place to stop it. There's not much more that happens. My son just burst in the door. As you can hear, it's time to go.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Friends and loved ones. So my son will also say goodbye. Say goodbye to everybody, Thomas.
Bye.
Bye. We'll see you next time, friends and loved ones, for more classic MMA revival.